Hello everyone, it's Jonathan here, founder of Driving Academy, and in today's video we're going to be discussing something extremely important, and that is how to make sure that you never stall during your CDL road test. So here at Driving Academy we help people every single day just like you get themselves a CDL license. In order to get a CDL license, there's pretty much a two-step process. Step one is you're going to have to pass a few different written exams to get yourself a CDL permit. Step two, you're going to have to pass a 2.5-hour long road test to get your actual license. Now, today we're going to be talking about the road test portion. The road test is going to be split into 3 different sections. First section is usually the hardest part for most people. That's where you're going to have to inspect both the inside and outside of the vehicle. Second part of the test is all about parking. There you're going to have to park the tractor trailer 6 different ways. And then the third part of the test is actually driving the truck on the road. So, we recently have opened up our own third-party testing site, and I am an examiner at one of the testing sites that we have. And I get to kind of get the insights and seeing what makes people fail for the test. Now, if you pass the pre-trip inspection and you pass the parking and you get all the way to the road and you fail because of something so simple, it's so heartbreaking to me. I mean, I'm the guy in the passenger seat. I'm going through the whole test with you. I've invested 2 hours of my life to make sure that you're ready to rock and roll, and you make a silly mistake and boom, we gotta do the test over again at another date because you failed. Now, what am I talking about? So if you go for the road test and you get to the actual third part of the test, which is driving on the road, there are a few things that if you do them wrong, it's an automatic failure. One of them is if you roll back. So say you're stopped on a hill and you roll back, automatic fail. Another one is if you making a turn and you run over a curb. And another one that we're going to be talking about today is stalling. So if you're driving a manual transmission vehicle and you stall the vehicle for whatever reason whatsoever, just once, you fail. We actually had a student this week that broke my heart. He was doing everything great, but he made one mistake and he stalled the vehicle, and unfortunately we could not pass him just because of that simple one mistake. Now, we were able to get him back quicker because of our third-party testing facility. We don't have to wait so long, so he did wind up coming back and getting his license. But if you do not want to waste too much time, make sure you follow these tips so you never stall the vehicle. So, the truck that we have at our third-party testing facility is a 10-speed transmission, which means you have 10 different gears that you have to get into. It also means that you have a splitter, which means it's a T-bar that goes up and down. You can kind of see right over here. So, the only way that we can get into 10 gears is there's 5 low gears and then there's 5 high gears. So as you can see from the shifting pattern right here, shifting 1 through 5 is all with the T-bar down. Shifting 6 through 10 is all with the T-bar up. So that being said, what is the different ways that people do stall and how do you make sure that you can avoid them altogether? So when it comes to starting the truck and making sure that you're getting this going, that's usually where people stall itself, right? So the way that we do it is when you're taking the test with us, the tractor and trailer are going to be empty. So there's no real weight on this thing, which means that's why we teach our students how to start off in 4th gear. So you're going to put the T-bar down, make sure that you put it in 4th gear. And as you can see from the diagram, you know exactly where that is, all the way to the right and forward. Now, the reason why this guy failed on the test this past week is because he did put it all the way to the right and forward, but his T-bar was up. So tip number 1 is anytime you come to a stop during the road test, make sure the T-bar gets put down and you start off in 4th gear. If you always follow that, then you'll never stall because that means that you're in a gear that is going to be okay. If you start in a gear that's too high, that means you're actually going to stall the vehicle because there's the whole speed and torque of the engine ain't going to be able to handle that at that specific gear. So in this case, what this student did was the T-bar was up, which means he was actually in 9th gear. You try to start in 9th gear and all of a sudden you're going to stall. There's no shot in hell that you're going to recover that. So that being said, tip number 1, make sure the T-bar is down and reset. Go all the way till you feel that wall and then go all the way up to 4th gear. If you don't really know what we're talking about, you definitely want to come in for our training here at Driving Academy. We're one of the few schools in the country to offer simulation training. If you don't know what that is, check out this video right over here. It's something that's really, really cool that our students extremely love. So then they get a whole bunch of practice on the simulator before we put them onto the road itself, right? So that's tip number 1 on how never to stall. Make sure the T-bar is down. Tip number 2 is going to be make sure you watch the clutch, right? So when it comes to coming from a stop, you want to make sure that you're not just taking your foot off the clutch all of a sudden, because if you do that very quickly, then the chances of you stalling are extremely high. The other thing you have to watch out for is making sure that you follow the proper gear pattern. So another reason why people can stall is, say that you're in 5th gear or 4th gear, whatever it is, and you try to go to 5th gear, but all of a sudden you put the T-bar up and you jam it into 10th gear. All of a sudden that's way too high of a jump between different gears and your vehicle is going to stall. So I hope those 3 tips really helped you out. Tip number 1 is make sure the T-bar is always down and make sure you start off in 4th gear. Take your time and double check. Say it out loud if you have to. Tip number 2 is when you are starting from a stop, make sure you don't come off the clutch too quickly. You want to come off the clutch nice and easily. And tip number 3 is going to be make sure that you don't forget what gear you're in. All you have to do is follow the gear pattern. Now, if you have no idea how to shift whatsoever, you have 2 options. Option number 1 is sign up with our guaranteed training course. We actually have our driving simulators, like I said before, that are going to get you comfortable shifting before we put you on the real truck. Or other option is going to be you can actually take the test in an automatic truck. If you take the test in an automatic truck, that means you're going to have an automatic restriction on your license, which also means that you cannot drive any manual transmissions moving forward. Some people are more comfortable with that. It makes driving a little bit simpler because that's one less thing you have to worry about. But with the restriction, that's something that you're going to have to play with. If you're looking to get a job that's over the road with a big company or regional, most of those companies now are all, if not almost all, automatic. However, if you're looking to stay local, a lot of the smaller companies are still manual transmission, which means that you're going to want to make sure that you know how to drive stick shift, and now or later we can help you out. So if you're interested in learning more about how to get your CDL license, how we can actually guarantee that we get your license itself, there's 1 or 2 things you can do. One thing is give us a call, 908-525-3609. Thing number 2 is going to be make sure you take a virtual school tour at cdldrivingacademy.com/tour. That's cdldrivingacademy.com/tour. Thanks and have a fantastic day.